Hello, it's Sonia here with The Pretty Stitch. Welcome to my channel. If this is your first time joining me, I'm so happy to have you here. So today we are going to be making another cowl, and for this project I will be using my eye hook or 5.5mm hook, and I am using this yarn. It's kind of falling apart, the label's coming off, but here it is. It's Lion Brand Mandala, I don't know how to say it, and it is a number 3 yarn or DK weight yarn. You could also use worsted weight yarn, and I'm also having a version of this project using fingering weight yarn. So you'll see in the photos that one is made with fingering weight, and then I'll have this one made with DK weight. So the fingering weight one, you will be using a G hook or 4.25mm hook, and for this version with the worsted weight or DK weight, which I'm using DK weight, I'm using my 5.5mm. So there will be 2 different sizes that you could make. So to get started for this project, I've already begun here on using the Lion Brand one, so I've got it started. But I'm going to show you how to get started here. So here we go. This is just worsted weight. What you're going to want to do is you will work a row of foundation single crochet. So I've chained 2. If you've never made foundation single crochet, I'm going to insert my hook in the second chain from my hook, pull up a loop. So I have 2 loops in my hook. I'm going to yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2. So I have made 1 foundation single crochet. So let's make the second one. So right here we've created a little chain in between my thumbs there, and we're going to insert our hook right in that chain, pull up a loop, chain 1, and then pull through the remaining 2 loops. So now we have created 2 foundation single crochets, and you're going to keep doing that across. So let's get ready for row 2 of this pattern. So there is fringe with this, and with the fringe it's going to be stitched right onto it, so you don't have to go back and add it. I hate adding fringe. I like it stitched right on there. Alright, so we are going to do that. We are going to chain 24. Okay, so I have my 24 chains here. So this is going to be row 2. So what we're going to do is we're going to yarn over, and we will work in the 4th chain from our hook. I'm just going to create a little bobble at the end here. So we're going to skip 3 chains, 1, 2, 3. Here's the 4th. Insert our hook in there. Pull up a loop. So we have our 3 loops. We're going to yarn over, pull through 2. We're going to yarn over again, go right back in that chain, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. So now we have our 3 loops. We're just going to pull through those 3, and we have our first little bobble. And now what we're going to do is we're just going to go back into that chain and work a slip stitch down the rest of this chain. And these directions are the same if you were making the DK weight version, worsted weight version, or the fingering weight version. So as you'll see in the pictures, I've made a fingering weight version, and these are the same exact directions. You're just working off a longer row with the fingering weight and a shorter row with the DK or worsted. So I'm just slip stitching down this chain, and this is the first part of our fringe for row 2. Alright, so here is part of our fringe. We've just slip stitched down, and we have our little bobble. So now we're ready to work back on the main part of our project here. So this is our foundation single crochet, and we are ready to begin in there. So what we're going to do is we're just going to work a single crochet right in that first stitch there. And now we are going to skip 3 chains. So 1, 2, 3, and we're going to work in the next one. And we're going to work a shell stitch. So we're going to work 7 double crochet in this shell stitch. or to create this shell stitch. 7 double crochet right in the same stitch to create the shell stitch. That didn't make any sense. So just work your 7 double crochet. Okay, so here we are. We have our shell stitch there. We're going to skip 3 stitches, 1, 2, and 3, and we're going to single crochet in the next stitch. And now we're going to start our repeat here. So we're going to skip 3 stitches, 1, 2, and 3, and work that shell stitch in the next stitch. So 7 double crochet. And we're going to skip 3 stitches, 1, 2, and 3, and single crochet in the next one. And you're going to repeat that all the way down. So you're going to skip 3 stitches, work your shell stitch in the next, skip 3 stitches, and work your single crochet in the next. And you're going to keep doing that until you get to the end here. Okay, so I have worked row 2 to my last single crochet. So now we need to complete it by working the fringe, because we want it to match the other side. So we are going to chain 24 like we did before. Alright, so we've got our 24 chains. So now we need to work the little bobble again. So in the 4th chain from our hook, inserting, did the yarn over, inserting that hook in the 4th chain, and pulling through 2, yarning over again, pulling through 2, so we have our 3 loops, and pulling through those 3, and now we have our bobble, and we just need to slip stitch up this chain, and then once we get to the end here, then row 2 will be complete. So I'm just going to quickly slip stitch up this chain and I will meet you back. Alright, so I have completed my fringe there for row 2. So at the end of row 2, if you are making the larger size, which I mean by that is using an eye hook and worsted or decate weight yarn, this is decate weight yarn, you're going to have 13 shells. Now I have one that I made and I just need to weave in the ends here. So this, I use finer weight yarn here. And I used a G hook or 4.25 millimeter hook. So you would have the longer starting foundation single crochet, and so for this one, if you're making this version, you will have 17 shells across, and it's made from the top down, so we're working towards the point. So I still need to weave in the ends on this guy, but I'm really happy with how it turned out. I think it's really pretty. I think it's going to be a favorite. And as I said before, the directions are the same depending on, it doesn't matter what size you're making, the directions are going to be the same. So if you're using the larger hook or the smaller hook and the thinner yarn, the directions are the same. You're just going to have more shells and more rows for the finer weight yarn. All right, so let's get started for row 3. So we're going to turn and we're going to work a single crochet in that first single crochet. And we're going to continue to just single crochet all the way across. So 1 stitch in each. So this is a very easy row. So all of your odd rows will be the wrong side and will be single crochet rows. So every time you hit an odd row, so this is row 3, you're just working the single crochet all the way across. Alright, so I'm almost done row 3 here. So for our very last stitch here, we're not going to work a single crochet, we will just work a slip stitch. And now row 3 is complete. So let's begin row 4. So what you're going to do is you're going to turn, we're not chaining 1 or anything, we're just turning. And we are going to skip this first stitch here and we're going to slip stitch in the next one. And we're going to slip stitch in the next 3 stitches, so we're working 4 slip stitches total. And when we work in the last slip stitch, so we've done 3 slip stitches, we're going to slip stitch in the back loop there. So just finding that back loop and working there, slip stitch. So that's getting us set up for row 4. And now we're going to chain 1, and we're going to single crochet in that same stitch. And we're going to skip the next 3 stitches, so 1, 2, and 3, and we're going to work our shell stitch in the back loop in our next stitch. So that's 7 double crochet. Sorry about that, my battery died, but here we have our shell. So you're probably wondering, where's the fringe? We are going to get to it, so don't worry. I haven't forgotten it. All right, so we have got our shell. So now this is the repeat. So we're going to, this is the start. So you're going to work your shell, and you're going to skip 3 stitches, 1, 2, and 3, and then single crochet in that next one. And an easy way to remember where to single crochet, and we're working in the back loops for this entire row, is your single crochet is always going to be on that center stitch of your shell. So your shell consists of 7 stitches. So in stitch 4, you're going to work that single crochet, and then in, let's think of it as a valley here. So right here in this bottom of this valley, you're going to work the shell stitch. So we're going to skip 3. 1, 2, and 3, and so that's the repeat. So you've got your shell, skip 3, work the single crochet, skip 3, and then the beginning of the next repeat is going to be the shell. And as I said before, we're working in the back loops for this entire row. So skipping 3, 1, 2, and 3. And there we go. So for this row, you are going to work all the way across, and instead of working, because then we're going to end, our last stitch is going to be a single crochet here. So we're not going to work in this, because then you would, to end the repeat, you would skip the 3 and then we would start again. But we're going to end it right here, because eventually this is going to turn into a triangle. So if you see the sample one, see how it, so each row you're going to have 1 less shell as we go along. So I'm going to keep going across until I get to my last stitch, single crochet, and then we're going to work part of the fringe. And so I'm going to finish this up and I'll meet you back. Alright, so I am almost done row 4 here. So I've worked that single crochet. I am not working the rest of these stitches. So let's finish up row 4 by working our fringe. So we're going to chain 24. Okay, so there is my 24 chains. So as before, we're going to yarn over. We're going to skip 3 chains, and we're going to work in that 4th chain, pull up our loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over again, go right back in that same chain, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through the last 3, and then continue to slip stitch up that chain, and we will have completed row 4. So, whoops. I'm going to keep going here, working my slip stitch, and then I will meet you back. Okay, so here we go. I've worked my slip stitch on my fringe here, and so row 4 is complete. So at the end of row 4, you're going to have a total of 12 shells, and if you worked using the lighter weight yarn and the smaller hook, you're going to have a total of 16 shells because you started out with 17. So each row you work a shell, it's going to be 1 less shell. So now we have 12. for this version of the pattern here. So now we're going to work on the wrong side, and as I said before, all of the wrong side is the single crochet row. So this is row 5, and so we're just going to pop a single crochet right in that first stitch, and we're just going to single crochet all the way across. So I'm going to keep going, working my single crochet across, and then we will finish up row 5, because then we'll be getting ready to work the other part of the fringe. Okay, so I worked my single crochet in that last stitch. So now we're going to finish up the fringe. So we're going to chain 24 and just repeat the fringe directions, and then row 5 is complete. So I'm going to finish up this fringe here, and I will meet you back. Okay, so we have finished up row 5, so let's get ready for row 6. So we are going to work a slip stitch right in that first single crochet. We're going to slip stitch in the next 4. So 1, 2, 3, and then for their 4th slip stitch, we are going to slip stitch in the back loop. So you're working 5 stitches, but 5 slip stitches, but 4 of them are in both loops, and then your 5th one, your last one, is going to be in the back loop. And we're going to chain 1, and we're going to single crochet in that same stitch. And we are going to repeat what we did for row 4 here. So skipping the 3, working the shell stitch in the next, and skipping 3 stitches and single crocheting in that next one. So you're going to repeat that all the way across, and you're going to stop at the top of the shell. So your last stitch is your single crochet, and working in the back loops all the way across. So I'll meet you back when we get to this last shell, and then we will complete row 6 here. Okay, so here is row 6 almost done. We have 11 shells, and if you're working the lighter weight version, you would have 15 shells. So let's work the rest of the fringe here. So I'm going to quickly work my fringe, and then I will meet you back. Okay, so I have completed my row 6 there. So let's get ready for row 7. We are going to single crochet right in that first stitch. And we're going to single crochet all the way across. So I'm just going to single crochet all the way across, and then when I get to this last single crochet, you're going to work the fringe, and then row 7 is complete. So what you want to do for this pattern is you're going to repeat rows 6 and 7 until you have one more shell left, and I will meet you back. So just keep repeating rows 6 and 7, and then I'll meet you back, and we'll get ready to turn this into a cowl, because right now it's looking more like a shawl, and you know, could have it as like a little shawl if you wanted to, but we're turning this into a cowl. So just keep repeating rows 6 and 7 until there's one shell left, and then I'll meet you back. Okay, so I'm almost down to the last row here. I worked up to row 25, and so let's finish this up. So I finished on a single crochet row. I've got my fringe here, and so now I'm going to slip stitch in that next stitch like we've been doing, and slip stitching in the next 4, but remember that last one you slip stitch in the back loop. So it's a total of 5 slip stitches, but the 5th one you work in the back loop. So I'm chaining 1, single crocheting in there, and I'm going to work, this is my final shell, and then we're going to complete the fringe, so it's just a little bit different for the final, after you work the final shell. So that would be row 27. Alrighty, so I've got my final shell, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we've got our final shell here, so that's row 26. So what you're going to do is you're going to work the fringe like we've been doing. So I'm going to chain 24 and work that fringe, and then I'm going to do that off camera real quick, and then I'll meet you back. Alright, so now I have completed row 26. Let's get ready for row 27, our last row, but we won't be done the cowl yet. We'll be close, so we are working on the wrong side. That is a single crochet row. So what you're going to do is you will single crochet in that stitch like normal, and you're going to single crochet until you get, so we're going to work 5 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we've reached that center double crochet stitch in our shell, and now we are going to just work a little decorative fringe in the center here. So we're going to chain 24 again and work our bobble. Okay, so I have worked that fringe in that center stitch. So what we're going to do is we're going to single crochet right back in that center stitch like that. So you have 2 single crochet in there, and then in the middle you have your little fringe. So now we're just going to continue this row by single crocheting across until we get to our last stitch there, right there, that single crochet, and then you're going to work that fringe again, and we're going to, then your rows will be complete, but the cowl won't be quite finished yet because we need to turn it into a cowl, because it's kind of like a mini shawl right now. And if you wanted to keep it as a mini shawl, you certainly could do that as well. So I'm going to finish up this fringe, and I will meet you back. Alright, so now we are done working in these rows. So I just slip stitched down my last fringe there. So what you're going to want to do is you will want to cut your yarn. So I've got my scissors here. I'm going to cut my yarn. Alright, so here we are. Here's the right side. So you can see, I think this is really pretty. I love the texture of this. Kind of reminds me of like mermaid scales, but that won't be the name of this cowl. So for this one, we worked a total of 27 rows. So I already completed the one that with the size G hook and the thinner yarn here, the fingering weight. So for this one, and it still needs to be blocked, so it's not completely 100% done, but it's just about there. So for this one, I worked a total of 35 rows. So this one's 35 rows, and this one is 27 rows. And you can see the difference laying them. Actually, this one, even though we worked more rows, is just a little bit smaller than the one with the heavier yarn and the larger hook. So it just depends on the look you're going for. The one looks more delicate. This one looks less delicate, which is nothing wrong with that, like a chunkier look. So let's finish this guy up. Okay, so now we are going to be working on the top of row 1. Now you do not have to do this, but I really like the way it looks, so we're doing it. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to insert my hook right in that first stitch, and I'm attaching my yarn. And yes, it's definitely a contrast, but I kind of like it because I think it'll tie in, because we ended with the green here and then we're going to have the green on the top. So It's mine, I'm wearing it, but if this really would bother you, what you could do is save, if you're using a multicolored yarn like I was, like the gradients, you could do this step right away if you wanted to. Alright, so we are going to insert, or we are going to attach that yarn, and we're going to chain 1 and single crochet right in that same stitch. And we're just going to repeat that shell sequence, so you're going to skip 3 stitches, so 1, 2, and 3, and then in the next one you're going to work the shell. So this is just on the other side of your foundation single crochet that you made in the beginning. So we're working those 7 double crochet. Alright, and so now we're just going to keep going. So we're going to skip 3 stitches and we're just going to single crochet in the next. So you're going to repeat this all the way across. So skipping 3 and then working your shell. Just like we did when we started row 1. So it's the same as row 1, it's just on the other side, and it just gives a scalloped edge. So here you can see on the one that I finished, there's the top of it, and I just think it looks really pretty around the neck. Now if you don't like the scalloped edge, then you certainly don't have to do that, but I really like it and it's my pattern, so we're doing it. So I'm going to keep going and working that across. Okay, so I worked across the top there, so we are going to work row 2. So we're chaining 1 and we're going to single crochet across just like we did for the rest of the pattern here, just in keeping with the pattern. So we're going to single crochet across for row 2 here of our trim. Now, as I said before, you don't have to do this if you don't want to. And then we will make it into a cowl. So I'm going to finish this up and I will meet you back. Okay, so I finished up my single crochet row. So now we're going to turn this into a cowl. So what you want to do is you want to fold it so that your right sides are touching and these 2 ends are going to be touching. So you can see that. And we're just going to slip stitch across these ends together. I mean, you could certainly sew it if you wanted. So I'm just going to go right in that stitch there and right here at the end of this row, and I'm just going to slip stitch in there and I'm going to slip stitch across. Doesn't matter how many stitches, just, you know, want to put a nice even amount on there. You know, you don't want them to be too crowded or too loose. And I'm doing it this way because I really don't like sewing. I mean, I'll sew something if I really, really have to. Okay, so I think that's enough. You just want to have that so it turns it into a cowl. So then when you're done slip stitching across, you're going to cut your yarn. And then you can turn it right side out. And there you go. Now you have your cowl. So to finish this up, you'll need to weave in your ends. So with this one, when we finish, you can see it kind of sags down a little bit. So what I did when you weave in this end, I would suggest putting your yarn needle up here, and then you can just pull that guy up. So then it looks more like that one, and then you won't even notice that. I did that in my one I already finished. And then if you want to block it, I would block it, and then you're all set to go. So I hope you enjoyed this project, and if you did, please like and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching.